This episode of the podcast is brought to you by HRH Combat Arms. They can turn your vision into reality. They specialize in gunsmithing and Cerakoting. Your Cerakote specialist is Air Force veteran and retired police sergeant Paul Ware, aka the Sarge. He can Cerakote your firearms, auto parts, tools, even your sports equipment. And then your master gunsmith is Marine veteran Steve Miller. This veteran-owned business is located at 5025 Saunders Suite 103, Fort Worth, Texas 76119. You can call them at 682-304-0363, and you can find them online at www.hrhcombatarms.com. That's www.hrhcombatarms.com. All right, we're back. Two Cops, One Donut. I am your host, Eric Levine, and I got my guest with me today, Mr. Keenan Taylor, a.k.a. DJ Indy. What's up?
What's up, man? The real DJ Indy in the house. What's going on?
How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm blessed up, man. I'm just staying blessed up and out the way.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, man. So, small world.
It is.
Keenan and I, we met at a wedding. Where he was working, and
yes,
I was a guest. And I was a guest at a wedding from my wife's friends. So
how'd I do?
You did great. You did great. I just didn't know anybody. So me, first thing I do is I'm like, I got to talk to somebody. So I see the DJ over there lonely in the corner, you know, doing his thing.
I don't know if I'd call it lonely, but I was doing my thing.
Well, it looked lonely to me. So I was like, I'm going to go talk to that guy because nobody else wanted to talk to me. So
DJ's a superhero, man.
That's right.
We get that a lot.
So
for sure.
Went over there, introduced myself, and we just kind of hit it off and started talking. Shoot, we talked for about 45 minutes straight, just BSing back and forth. So,
all right, yeah.
What's cool about this is, other than that, that's the only real conversations we had. I asked him if he wanted to be on the podcast. He had some history. I kind of explained the podcast to him and all that stuff. And I was like, dude, you'd be a great guest to have. And he's like, you sure? It's like, yeah, man, come on. So we hit back and forth a little bit, and we made it work. Pretty quick order, too. What was it, about 2 weeks ago?
2-3 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, not even a month. So
let's do it, man. We ain't no point of dragging your feet, man. Let's get into it, man.
Right,
that's how I move.
All right, Mr. Taylor. Where you from, sir? Tell me your life. What's up?
I'm a proud Texan. I get flack for that sometimes, but they just don't know, man. I'm a proud Texan. I'm originally from Austin, Texas. I moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area about 6 years ago, six and a half years ago. Got family all over Texas, Houston, San Antonio. So it's real southern hospitality in the house.
I know.
You know, real southern hospitality in the house.
And he's not just talking the talk. My man showed up with a pizza and some drink and was like, Southern hospitality. You never come to somebody's home empty-handed. So and he did. He came correct for the Southerners. I'm a Yankee, so I'm from Michigan.
Y'all are all right, man. Y'all got your own. You know, y'all got your own customs. You know,
I'm a little more Midwest, so we have a little bit of the Southern hospitality. Where if you go more east, it's a little.
I'll agree with that. I got some family out there too, and I think it is definitely kind of blended, and just historically a lot of people move from the South to the Midwest, so you have those family ties as well.
Yeah, now that I'm down here, I don't see ever going back.
That's what they all say, brother. That's what they all say.
Dude, I see why you're a proud Texan. It took me almost 30 years to figure it out, but I got down here as quick as I could. So now that I'm here, man, I love it. And just like you said, it's just, even when people are rude, they're nice.
Yeah.
Like the way they say, go fuck yourself is bless your heart.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Just in my culture, there was like a real playerism that, I've had the opportunity to travel all over the country, and you go to the West Coast, you go to the East Coast, other parts of the South, and everybody's got their own culture, their own dynamics, and the stereotypes that you would place on peoples from that area. And I just think that something that's really unique about the Texas Southern culture. It's like, you know, we got a real emphasis of being smooth about things.
Yeah.
You know, like, why would I tell you to go fuck yourself? You know, bless your heart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And
so
you walk away.
100% walk away.
Yeah. And you're like, all right, the guy was okay. And then later on, you're like, wait a second. The guy was telling me to go F myself. Yeah.
Yeah, we hit you in the hurts, man. It's a slow pain.
It is. All right. So you're a professional student right now, and you work.
If you can call students professionals, I think that's an oxymoron. But okay, I'll take it.
Because I was a professional student, meaning, you know, I was a little older. My wife is also what I consider a professional student. We're older.
Okay.
We're not going to school because it's the thing to do right after high school. We went to school because we're trying to get the job that we're trying to get, or the career we want to get, and this is one of our paths to get there. My wife right now, she's in school for nursing. You're in school for, remind me again. Finance. So you're gonna be a nerd with numbers.
I don't know, but okay, that's a way of looking at it, I guess. I'll take it.
I am mathematically dumb. I don't get math, and when I hear the word finance, all I think of is numbers.
I can't say that I get math. I say that I can get it when I need to, and if I don't use it, I'll probably forget it. But if it's something that I use, I'll know how to do it. Okay. Or if I don't know how to do it, I know how to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. So you're gonna do you know what you're gonna do with that degree when you get done?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows what I kind of got into this thing just a little bit about me. I've always loved business. Like, I love every part about business. I like working, on small teams. I like working on big teams. I love the team aspect of it, you know. But I've always been fascinated with business. Like, everything that comes with business. The inventory, the record keeping, the creativity that's involved in innovation. I mean, just everything about it. You have to, know how to lead, know how to follow, know when to lead, know when to follow. I mean, just it's something for me that I feel like will bless me with being able to utilize everything that I've been blessed with. Yeah. And that is exciting to me. Call me an adrenaline junkie or something. I don't, I love the idea of like the guy on the Harley. I'm not going to get on a Harley. Everybody I know who's got a motorcycle has been in like a life altering accident. So no, I'll pass on that. But in my mind, business is my Harley. Yeah. So what I think I would like to do is somewhere along my educational path, score like a very worthwhile apprenticeship, and that will open my mind to other possibilities. I think one of the big things that I would like to get out of school is to know a lot more about what I don't know right now. Okay. You get a perspective. Yeah. Well-rounded. Yeah. Like I've had, my own stunts in business. I've had, a couple businesses in my life that I've started out the mud and built them up and made my living for years doing it. And when I like somewhere in that experience, I would always think like, I started this business because my life experiences, put these ideas in my mind, and I put those things together and I started this business on the occasions that I did them, like the multiple occasions that I did them. But I always looked at people that created these big businesses, these Apples and Berkshire Hathaways and all these other companies, these Microsofts. And I would read about those guys, and I would read about some of the things that they were just exposed to. And just me going to school when I was younger, like that, the experience, my first stint in going to college, it was just like the little world that I knew that I created this small business out of, just out of those little experiences that I had. Ooh, excuse me. It just blew up. As soon as I walked into school and I started doing that, it was just like, now my world is so much bigger. So I think like my the general goal or the bigger goal would be like, you know, I want to expand my umbrella and experience more so I can draw from all that and create something really dope at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know?
And you've got, I mean, you're being humble or modest. You're not mentioning it, but I checked you out. You've had some, you know, you did a podcast or interviews.
Did a lot, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I was media man, you know.
Yeah, and some of the people you had on there, some big names, man. At least local big names too.
I don't know. I mean, they were big in the clubs, man. Like that I'd go to. Like, you know, there was a natural, genuine kind of, you know, attraction. You know. Strong energy, you know, likes attract strong energy, and
yeah,
you know, when I was that guy looking for talent, you know, I walked up in the room and I was that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you had to stand out to me, you know. I wasn't really a fan. I was more like, it was like, this is the dopest person. This is the most energetic, you know. This person is doing what I'm doing. They're demanding all the attention's going on them when it's their time. So let me talk to them. Let me see what they're about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I can't. I don't know that I would say that they were just some big gigantic name, but you know, they definitely had their own followings. They definitely had their fans and all that good stuff. You know.
That's fun though, man. I had Jay Novacek. That's probably the biggest name I've had on here. Which, if you're a football fan, I guess he's a Hall of Famer or something. But the cool part was he gave me his whiskey. That's how we met. I wasn't looking for him. He wasn't looking for me.
Oh man, he beat my pizza all the way beat it into the ground, man. I guess I'm not in if I ain't, you know, NFL, you know, y'all can
right.
Y'all have more options.
That's different though.
Yeah.
Because he's on a level that neither one of us are at.
Should have brought a homemade pizza. This is my pizza.
I made this from scratch. Probably would have tasted a lot better.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
He's carving up. He's got a personal race for himself tomorrow. He's a runner. And we were talking about that. And so he's carb loading a little bit for his run tomorrow, something I can appreciate. And he's like, man, I'm glad you guys didn't want any pizza at the time because it wasn't good. He's like, that was not the best pizza. I started laughing. I was like, well, at least you're honest, man. He's like, yeah, it's probably the worst pizza I've had. So, is it a QT pizza or racetrack?
Racetrack.
Yeah. Man. See, as a cop, I've eaten the worst. You work midnights, dude, and you're eating those taquito things that just keep spinning and spinning on the heater. They've probably been there all day, and then they do not agree with you in about 20 minutes after eating them. But you eat what's available when it's available. Just like as a cop, you never pass up the opportunity to go to the bathroom. Never pass it up.
That's a good way to live, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just no message, you know, it's not just for cops, man.
So we talked before.
Good habits.
And one of the things that you had mentioned to me was that you were a paramedic, or at least trying to become a paramedic in some way.
My first stint in college, you know, where I got my associate's degree. Right now I'm working on my bachelor's. But when I got my associates, you know, that was the path that I was trying to go. For sure.
Was you wanting to be like in an ambulance? Would you want to be ER? Would you want to be with the firefighters?
I kind of got into it. You know, I was first interested in the firefighter path. I probably went to a couple of exams, went through the whole process. You know, came pretty close one time. But you know, like firefighters, you know, like you've got to. That's like there's not really a lot of ways to become a firefighter. You got to go down that path, and that's how you get on. You know, it's serious competition.
Yeah, so they wanted you to do the medical side first, get up through EMT.
Nah, that's what I did. That was just
okay.
That was just okay. You know, excuse me. It was like a similar. You know, it was kind of you know, a similar. It was kind of similar to being a firefighter in a lot of ways. And then when I went through EMT school, I started to find things that I felt about like the paramedic path that I felt like, you know, the fire path, it was better for me. It was like a better fit. It was more exciting. Like I said, I'm an adrenaline junkie. So, you know, one of the things that I think about when like, what am I going to do? It's going to be like, am I going to wake up in the morning and be excited about this every day?
Yeah.
That's really
where
important.
it's not a job.
It'll probably still figure out its way to be a job, you know, but you know, you can be excited about that. You know, it can have a lot of, it can fulfill you, but I mean, I'm sure, you know, you have your days like that.
Oh yeah.
You know, like there, you've got your purpose, but at the same time, you know, you're still doing this every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's no way to get around that. I'm sure LeBron James feels like he's going to work a lot of the time. You know,
he should. I mean, because he's terrible. So I'm sorry, LeBron. What I mean is, like, you're a bad actor. That's all. He just, you know, he's out there. He's flopping around like he's trying to win, like he's trying to win an Emmy. So, you know what?
Yeah.
If you watch some 1990s Detroit Piston basketball, you'll learn how to stand in there, play some hard-nosed basketball, and, you know, you'll gain the respect of the people.
I haven't, you know, I'd be lying if I can say I've sat up and watched an entire basketball game in a long time.
Yeah.
In a very, because it's so boring nowadays.
It is.
But on the highlights that I've seen recently, it seems like they're kind of going back to the old school.
I think so too.
It looks like they're intentionally trying to go back, and I'm like,
yeah,
this might start getting fun again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like Blake Griffin, I love watching him. That dude, like, he bodies everybody, and he's very respectful about how he does it. So I think that's kind of like the balance. He's not like the Pistons of the old. They were out trying to hurt people. Like that was the bad boys, man. They were trying to hurt people.
Bully ball.
Yeah, and I think that's a little too extreme. But the way basketball went for so long,
they got to bring back the handshake. Got to bring it back.
Oh, after the game or before the game?
No, in the game. Got to bring back the handshake.
What do you mean?
You know, like nowadays, like you can't like try to steal the ball. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
handshake.
Yeah, the handshake.
Okay.
You know, like
handshake. I'm sorry.
Nah, the handshake. You remember when Jordan was playing, like they was like, wham, trying to slap that thing out your hands, and then you can't do that nowadays.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like you said, basketball's come around, but it still ain't there for me yet. It ain't there, and. Just as long as they don't mess with hockey, because I still like watching my hockey. But that's the North thing. It's down here, but just not as prominent. But let's get back on track. One of the things, first off, for those that just listen, I don't want to assume genders or races or ethnicities or anything like that.
Sure.
You are an African American man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously like I got a lot of stuff going on. You know, I'm mixed. I'm black and white. My mom's African American. My dad's Jewish.
Okay.
And you know, I identify as African American because you know that's pretty much what I am in America.
Okay.
You know,
and so the reason I bring that up is because you talked about some of your training with EMT stuff that you face some racial issues and stuff like that, or heard some undertones that you didn't agree with you.
I mean, look, man, I'm gonna be honest. You know, there are a lot of reasons why I'm not a paramedic. So I don't want to frame this like I just had this horrible experience and that kind of just, you know, I said I'm done with it.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of personal things that I was going through, relationship things that I was going through, legal things that I was going through. There was a lot of stuff going on. What I would say, why I didn't, the ultimate reason, because I'm the type of person where like if I'm want to do something, I'm going to do it. Like I'm going to find a way to do it. If I want to be a paramedic and you're telling me I can't, I'm going to find a way to be a paramedic.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what kind of, outside of all the other things going on in my life that were going on, what kind of, I would say, tipped the scale for me is I came to this realization to like, there is a sub segment of the culture that is within the paramedic culture, and that's what I had experience with. I was around firefighters too, but I wasn't like as close to them as the paramedics. So I can't speak on anything outside of what I was going to see, you know, and keep this in mind. We're talking about a year and a half to 2 years of doing ride-outs in schools. So I'm not speaking from the standpoint of somebody that was a paramedic and rode on their truck, because I think it's important to frame your experiences, you know, because I think, you know, you have to earn the right to be able to speak on certain things. And if you haven't earned that right, you need to acknowledge that that's where you're coming from.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
But bringing that in back to what I felt, you know, from my very small experience, I felt like, you know, like there is this subset of culture, not all culture, not all the paramedics, and this is a Travis County system, you know, but there is this kind of subset of this good old boy mentality.
Okay.
Do I need to elaborate on all, like I'm saying things, and
I get what you mean, but
you know what I mean? Some people don't, you know, that, you know, so let's get into that a little bit. So like this, the good old boy, I think that term comes from like Jim Crow South. I think that's the origin of the good old boys. So you're thinking about like Jim Crow South, KKK, that's its origins. We don't live in a society today where that's as acceptable as it was then. So when I say good old boys, I'm talking about like that is the root of that culture, but it's evolved since then. And what you have now is the offspring of that. It's my best way of describing it. I hope that doesn't some kind of justice to the description, but I just kind of felt those kind of vibes from a subset of you know, the paramedics that I was working with, and more when I would go and do ride outs in like the rural counties.
Yeah,
you know, when I was kind of like more in the inner city counties, I didn't really see that so much, to be honest with you. But when I would do ride outs in the more rural counties, I would get those kind of vibes. I had experiences that I was kind of feeling that way before I actually had the experience. But then I had the experience and it's like, yeah, it's kind of what it is.
Confirmed what you felt?
Yeah, it's kind of what it is.
Can you go into what happened?
Okay, well, I had a ride out one time, and we're in a rural county, and so a lot of people don't know. I'm sure this ain't the same for a city cop, but firefighters, a lot. Now I'm not gonna say all of them, but a lot of firefighters and a lot of paramedics spend most of their time watching TV and playing video games.
You said it. I didn't say it.
And reading books and stuff. You know,
I'm just saying.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. Like, they think about the guy running into the building. Like, that happens too. But, you know, you're at a station. You get a call. You got to get on the truck and you got to respond to that call. But when you're not on a call, that's your time.
Yeah, you're cooking.
You know,
you're
cooking, working out.
Yeah.
The
training.
I didn't see
building.
the paramedics. Like the one thing I liked about the firefighter side of things, those guys did work out. Paramedics not so much. A lot of the paramedics were kind of like out of shape, honestly.
Yeah.
So a lot of the culture that you see or that I was exposed to was inside the firehouse or inside the station, because that's the majority of where we would spend our times, especially in the rural counties where they're not getting, they might get 2 to 4 calls in 24 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
And you know, you spend maybe an hour on the call, hour and a half on the call, tops, and you're back at the station. So, you know, I remember this real vividly. It was a female paramedic. It was a male paramedic. They're both white. They're both really obese. And we like spent like the first, you know, I'm doing homework, but we were sitting at the station for like, you know, it had to be a long amount of time because there had to be like at least 2 or 3 hour-long TV shows that they were watching back to back.
Yeah.
And it was like Jerry Springer, Maury Povich, and some other show.
So just garbage television.
And that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you see these 2 obese older white people sitting watching this show, and a big theme with Indy shows are these like kind of caricatures of black people. You know, like a big, like that's kind of what this show promotes.
I see where you're going.
And they're just talking on the couch kind of like, but I'm hearing these like the way they're kind of laughing at the show. Like, listen, I watch that show like more. I love Maury Povich myself. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't watch Maury Povich for 3 hours straight unless I was really getting something out of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just like that was all they wanted to watch. And I felt the tension. And I'll be honest, that could be something that I perceive. It could be all going on in my head, and I'm just looking for something to point my finger out and be like, you know, you guys are giving me these type of vibes, right?
Right.
But I'll be honest, and I'll say like I was kind of feeling like this kind of vibe, just kind of hearing them kind of remark about the stuff and laugh at this person or that person, and you are not the father and all that stuff. So we get a call for a ride out. And mind you, they haven't said anything to me disrespectfully. They haven't said anything racist or anything, nothing but professional to my face. We get on a call where we're driving to or from, it's been years ago. We're driving to or from the call. They're in the front seat. I'm in the back of the truck. They probably didn't know I could hear what they were talking about in the front.
Because they're pretty loud. The vehicles. Medical vehicles, loud.
Yeah, I don't. In fact, like, there's no way that they knew that I could hear what they were talking about, or, you know, they probably, if they knew I could hear them talking, they wouldn't have been talking about what they were talking about.
Yeah. But
as soon as like they got like to the front, you know, we're driving to the call. I'm in the back. I'm by myself. Then I hear their conversation continue the same tone that they had when they were in, you know, when we were in the station. But now it's N-word this, N-word that, N-word this, N-word that, N-word this. We get to the call. We get out. All right, Mr. Taylor, you know, can you get me some vital signs? Professional.
What?
You know? So, you know, I feel like that was like, okay, this confirms this. I'm not tripping. What I was feeling, the vibes that I was getting in this situation, I'm not tripping. And I'm the type of person that, you know, like I said, I gotta wake up and be excited about what I'm doing. Yeah. And I feel like kind of at that time I was like, I don't know that I'm gonna get up and be excited about working with you guys. You know, what if in some situations it is all going on in my head, but I don't feel that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you just don't mean it. You know, hey, we grew up differently. We have different cultures. So you can have the purest soul, but not know how to project yourself in a way where I get it.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, yeah, I could figure out something else to do that I really like doing. And I did. I started an ice cream truck business.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? So,
okay.
like, it's cool.
Is that where the DJing started?
No.
You weren't playing the typical ice cream songs.
I wasn't. I wasn't, man. I was like I'm a big screwhead, man. Shout out DJ Screw, man. Screwhead for life. But yeah, man, I was banging screw on the back of my ice cream truck. You know, we had the flakes and the 22s and all that stuff, the big bang, blowing out speaker systems, you know, shaking the concrete. We was doing our thing.
I've never seen anything like that.
You know, I was the first person in Austin to do it. And then when I moved up here, like, my people was telling me, like, man, now there's like 4 other guys doing it, you know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, so I want to get into that side of your experience a little bit more. Yeah. So did you call them out, or did you just let it lie because they were still being cool to your face?
You know, it just wasn't, you know, I didn't call it out.
Okay.
I didn't call it out. And it wasn't out of fear. Because, I mean, like, what are you going to take away from me? What are you going to do? You know, if I do call you out. But I have, to a fault, a very compassionate heart. And I'm the type of person that I feel like if you don't get it, that's your loss. Yeah. Like, you're the one losing out. You're missing out. Yeah. You're not hurting me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are coming from a place of being a really small person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you in my opinion, I mean, I'm agreeing with you, but you're limiting yourself.
Yeah.
You're limiting your experiences in the world. You only get one life, as far as I know.
And I'm loving mine. I'm loving mine. And you know, like, you know what, like I'm not even saying I think they're bad people, because I think, you know, inherently, you know, if you look at a person that's like net positive overall, you can always find something and say, like, you know, they did this, they did that, you know, they threw the bottle out the window on the highway or something. Like, there's, you know, we all live in a glass house.
Yeah.
You know.
So with that, did you ever? Okay, so obviously the point of the show is to community, breaking down barriers. You know that I'm a police officer, and I'm in the CJ system, and paramedics are too. So it's not just, you know, the typical stereotypical racist cop stuff. You know, I mean, now you're talking about people that are out there while you're at your most vulnerable. Not necessarily for a criminal aspect, but you're medically in distress, and then you got to start wondering: is that a factor? Is race a factor? Is that changing the way somebody's being treated? Things of that nature. That's outside looking in from what you're talking about. At least I can say for myself, and from what I've witnessed, everybody gets the same fair shake. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. And we just look at what's going on, not who you are. Does that make sense? At least for me. So what I want to do is improve things. I want to make things better. Have you faced anything with law enforcement? Have you faced anything with any other side, judges, prosecutors, anything like that, where guys on my side of the house need to start seeing your perspective on things?
When I was like 14, you know, like I got, you know, locked up for the first time. I was living with my dad. He had a roommate. She was a prostitute. Not a roommate. You know, he was letting her have a room. She comes in drunk one night, gets into it, you know, like comes into the house and tries to get rough on me. I'm 14 years old. I play on the football team. Like,
he's ready to throw.
You got me all the way fucked up. No, I put her in a headlock. I was like, man, chill the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? My dad, I think it was at like out of state somewhere. So like after that, I had a homeboy down the street. I was like, I got her to calm down. I put her in that grip, left the house, started walking down the street.
Yeah.
And she calls the cops on me. Black man walking down the street on cocaine with a shotgun.
That's what she called in? Dang.
That just beat the shit out of me. And, white woman in distress.
Oh, so she was white. Okay.
Yeah. So my first interaction with police was getting hogtied, in the back of the van.
That's a no-no now, pretty much nationwide.
Yeah, I did get. I was hogtied. That was my first arrest.
Yeah. So for people that are wondering what we're talking about, that's when your feet and your hands are all put together. Whether it's, I think it's typically behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking hands behind your back, cuffed together, and then your feet are brought to your butt, and those are cuffed to those cuffs. And it can cause breathing issues, asphyxiation, even if you're an in shape person. So it's.
I do remember like in the process, I did like, I remember it because like those situations that you feel like I might die, like something can bring in. I'm like, death is imminent if something doesn't stop or something doesn't change. I remember that in that moment. In the process of getting hogtied. Like when they had me and I was back in the car, I didn't have no problem. But when they were trying to get me down there, I can't breathe. But that's not to say I brought that up because, like when you say like, what experiences do you have? That's the closest I can give you to like an experience. But do I know that has something to do with race? Well, I mean, I found out later on that it was black man walking down the street. Black 14-year-old walking down the street on cocaine with a shotgun. Of course, I wasn't on cocaine, didn't have a shotgun.
Yeah.
I was just walking to my friend's house. Do I know that, like, if it was white man walking down the street with
on cocaine
with a shotgun, yeah. Do I know that wasn't any different? I don't know. I don't know.
How did they? How were you being treated? Was it okay? Because I'll tell you how I would respond personally. You may not have a shotgun that I can see, but if I'm being reported that you have a weapon, period. That's the only thing I'm thinking of. Yeah. All right, there's a dude with a weapon. All right. Witnesses get things wrong all the time.
Yeah,
it
sure.
could be a stick. I don't know. But I'm going to get you in cuffs. And I hope you listen to me, because if you don't, then it's going to get rough for a second. But as soon as you're in cuffs, I'm going to dust you off. I'm going to ask you if you're okay. I'll make sure you're good to go, because I've got a lawful reason to be there. Because it's not me just seeing a person walk down the street. It's somebody called in and said, it's this person walking down the street. So I'm giving you my perspective as a cop. Like that's where my mind's at. Like, all right, I just got to get them safe, secure, make sure there's no weapons involved. And then we can slow everything down. Hey, you okay? Sorry that you had to go through that. This is what we got. And we go from there. I don't see another way around that. You know what I mean? White, black, girl, boy, doesn't matter. I don't see a way around that when it's a call like that. But
yeah. And I think that was a point that I was trying to make. The nature of the allegation was, it was a high level. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it was yeah. That's a better word for it. Yeah. No, it was very significant. So, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah. So after you get cuffed and they obviously see you don't have a weapon,
juvenile and stuff.
Was it immediate? I'm just trying to get were the cops at least okay, he obviously doesn't have a weapon.
They threw me in the back of the car, and just hogtied. Like I went to juvenile hogtied, in the back of the car
the whole way.
Yeah.
Damn.
And just took me to juvenile. Like I'm be honest with you. Like I said, just a large part of my upbringing, you know, a lot of stuff that I say to some people, they say like, damn, and oh my God, and all that kind of stuff. Like a lot of stuff like that to me was just normal. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think about it like this is some big major, oh my God moment.
Right. Like it was the culture then.
You know, like that's just kind of like what I was, you know, socialized to kind of expect. Yeah. You know, like that's what cops do. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like when you get arrested, you know, that's what, you know, we stayed down the street from the projects. You know, we didn't live in the projects, but I walked, you know, whenever we skipped school, we'd be in the projects. We'd be seeing people getting hemmed up all the time. We'd see people, my friends, I might be hanging out with one of my homeboys, skipping school, smoking some weed, and like his next door neighbors getting their door kicked in. Yeah. You know, so choices that I made, you know, that I'm not making right now, but part of my growth and evolution as a man, like choices I made brought me into situations beyond being 14 years old. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but I was already used to it. So like to me, like, you know, like that, it wasn't like a really big deal. Being hogtied and getting, you know, drove to juvenile, like that wasn't no big deal. Like and
we're talking back in what, 97-ish? Because you're
no
35?
That would have been like 2001, something like that.
Okay, I was curious.
2001,
okay, so we're not too far off.
Yeah.
How old are you?
35.
35. Okay, so
yeah,
still got it. So you're 35 because I'm 38. I think. Yeah, I'm 38, and
you're getting up there.
Yeah, I know.
Like when you start having to think about it, man.
Dude, I've lost track of my birthdays. My wife has to remind me. I'm like, how old are we? Because we're the same age. Our birthdays are like 11 days apart.
That's fun.
And I'm like, how old are we? And she's like, well, especially in February where our birthdays are. She's like, well,
what part of February, man? Y'all some Aquarians up in here? Y'all Capricorns or Pisces?
I'm Aquarius. She's the other one. I don't know.
She's a Pisces.
Yeah.
She's afterwards or before?
She's afterwards.
Yeah, she's a Pisces.
So they changed all of them.
I didn't recently know that. I don't pay attention to it like that.
I don't either, but yeah, they changed them all. I saw it was a Facebook article or something.
Yeah, man.
Because a little nerd knowledge for you. The stars. Back when they made those,
they're not lined up. Right?
They're not lined up anymore.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. I knew so that. It now. They finally acknowledged it, I guess. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
All right, yeah. They fixed it. Yeah, they fixed it.
Yeah, they made it right. Now Neil deGrasse Tyson can chill out. I love that dude.
Yeah, I do too, man. He's a smart guy.
Yeah, it's cool.
He's a good speaker.
I like that he brings a fun passion to the nerdiest of nerd stuff that I love. I'm like a very, very amateur, you know, like I look at black hole stuff. I look at
I love all that stuff.
Physics. I read little things on all that. I don't know.
My landlord is a physics teacher. She teaches physics and anatomy and physiology. She's smart.
I don't. I won't pretend.
I've got a built-in tutoring with my lease.
Nice.
It's like
you got to make
it's all factored in.
There you go. But yeah, anyway, we'll get back on target here. I go down these rabbit holes.
It's all good, man. You know, you're an Aquarian, man. I get it.
Right?
I get it. Me too. You know what I'm saying?
When's your birthday?
On the 7th.
The 7th. I'm the 12th. So we're pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to. One of the things I want to talk about, what I think you're referring to, is the culture. That was the culture back then. We're talking before body cams.
Yeah.
We're talking before. Really, I mean, the internet was out, but Facebook wasn't. It was
like
invented.
MySpace.
Yeah, social media
MySpace was kind of like in the middle. Kind of.
Yeah, you could.
It wasn't out, but it didn't just start.
Listen, there's some things about MySpace that I miss.
I never paid attention to that. Like I probably got into the maybe the social media over like the last couple of years.
Really?
But like, yeah, that never wasn't my thing. Fun fact, I was hanging out with a friend of mine, you know, and she sold crack. And we were celebrating Obama's winning the presidency.
Okay.
So we're hanging outside in like the parking lot, and you know, we're drinking, you know, we're having a good time.
She ain't trying to give you crack, is she?
Nah.
Okay.
She might have been trying to give me something else, but I was good on that. You know, we were good friends. You know, yeah, we were good friends.
I got you.
But so the police pull up, you know, they pull up, they arrest both of us because we were making noise. We're drunk. I'm talking shit. I'm just like, yeah, Obama won. Woo, 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 woo. I don't think they were liking that. You know, that was what our rhetoric was at the time.
I don't think Obama would have liked that.
Yeah. I agree with you. I was like, you're not making me look good, son. Right? Yeah, I agree with you. That's definitely another way of looking at it. But you know, he searches her car, finds some crack. I go to jail for it. Did she? I caught the possession check case. She didn't. In her car. We weren't in the car. We're in the parking lot.
Yeah.
They searched her car, registered to her, found the drugs, and charged me with it. I went, obviously beat the case. I mean, that's a no-brainer. It was more like, you're talking shit, I'm going to show you situation.
Where
this was Austin, Texas.
No. Where were the drugs located in the vehicle? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, because that makes a difference. I will tell you from my perspective, if I'm searching a car and she's the driver and you were the passenger, even though you guys are both outside the car, we'll figure it out eventually. Like, whose car is it? Okay, yeah. Were you driving? Yeah, I was driving. And the crack, let's say it was over in the passenger side. Well, then that's the closest proximity is you, so you're going to catch the charge.
I want to kind of follow up because that wasn't the point. The point was the point was bringing back up MySpace and all that shit.
Okay.
I went to court for that.
Talking to the mic.
I went to court for that. I beat the case. Obviously, it's like really a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And they brought up a MySpace page that a friend for me at my job made for me. I didn't make this page, and it was kind of obvious that I didn't make the page. It was ridiculous
for anybody that knows you.
Yeah. That's a good way. That's a good thing to kind of preface that with. But yeah, so they bring up a MySpace page and use that in my case against me.
That's probably one of the first cases ever to have social media used.
So, I just was kind of like, fuck social media. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of has that effect. I know where you're going. I was like, that's not where I'm going with this.
I see what you're saying.
That ain't where I'm going with this.
Okay, so that's why you've avoided it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say avoided this, but it's like, fuck it. I mean, like, you have a right to exist. You do your thing. I'm enjoying life over here without you.
And I'll let all the bad guys know out there. I check your social medias. I check the hell out of them. So now they're a lot more sophisticated than they used to be, where it's very easy and all that shit. Very easy to prove that if I made one for you, like I would be able to prove me as a detective. I'd be able to figure out that you didn't make it. So I bet that DA thought his shit was just on fire. He's like, I'm gonna use this MySpace shit.
I don't know what they were thinking, but I think it was just like the evidence was so ridiculous. It was so bizarre. I just and I'm coming from a younger version of me, and I know how I felt. I was just like, this was just you saying fuck you. This didn't have anything to do with evidence. This didn't have anything to do with right or wrong or protect and serve. This was just like, you little young motherfucker, fuck you. I'm gonna show you.
You're gonna you're gonna beat the what is it? You're gonna beat the charge, but you're not or something. I can't remember the damn saying now. You're still gonna get the ride, basically.
Yeah,
fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
That's a
He
perfect
basically
analogy.
just wanted to waste your time, make you go take the ride.
Yeah. Had to take the whole ride.
Okay, so
had to-
historically, culturally speaking, for police, that's called POP, pissed off police. And
Okay.
that sounds like that's what happened.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's right, but that's probably what happened. You just pissed him off, like you said, and that's the type of stuff we gotta shore up.
How do police feel about that? How do police feel about that? I'm you know, if you've got a term for it, then it's something that culturally has to be, you know,
It's been
in the zeitgeist of police.
Yeah.
So like how do you feel like, you know the individual cops or the spectrum of individual policemen feel about that phenomenon, because it's a real thing.
So,
and then when you throw like cultural biases into the mix, you know, it can become very punitive.
right. So I think it depends. It's a weighted question, so I'm going to break it down a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
I think it depends on if that department has citizen support. If it's a department that's very well supported, meaning the citizens are behind them, there's
a lot of communication.
Stuff like that.
There's a lot of
there's good funding,
collaboration, all those things.
If you have that, officers are going to more than likely, like if you were the pissed off cop and I'm on the call with you and you're going to charge that kid with something that he didn't, I'm not going to let you do that. My job's to keep you in check. One, I don't want, we're coworkers and we're friends or whatever it is. I got to look out for you. I got to say, hey dude, like I get it. Go cool off. I'll handle this. And that's it. I just squashed it. Now, because I don't want to get I want to keep that citizen support. There's nothing better than working for a police department where the citizens support you. Now, let's dive down the us versus them, where does that stem from? And I think the us versus them, a lot of that stems from, there's been crooked police in the past. New Orleans had a big issue back in the day. New York had their stint. There's different aspects that we get. So that's provable. There have been corruption found in police departments. So now we got the distrust. So now you get this distrust growing, and then the funding starts to shift, and the violence goes up. Now,
can you break that down a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm a finance major, man. So you just said one of my favorite words. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Can you break that down? How that dynamic affects finance and what that means being a police officer or for the institution of law enforcement locally for the effect that it has.
So in my experience, a lot of times what will happen when you start to butt heads, obviously communication starts to go out the window. That's usually the first thing that starts causing problems is the lack of communication, which is the point of this show. We talk. So that lack of communication will start to happen, and the tension starts, and crime will go up because the cops are trying to avoid the citizens because they're in the doghouse, right?
Ooh.
So now we've created a divide. Now, when the violence starts to go up, as a cop, citizens aren't talking no more. They're not being witnesses. They're not doing anything. It escalates. Now I'm getting in a fight with somebody on the side of the road. Nobody's helping me. I tell you what, I get in this fight on the side of the road. There's going to be 17 people that come help me.
It sounds like an environment ripe for like Cowboy Cops.
Right, yeah. So
I mean, does it? I'm not in. I would assume that would be like kind of like an effect of that kind of environment.
What do you mean by Cowboy Cops?
Oh, Cowboy Cops, man! Like the guys that are on the fringe of like doing cop work and
being corrupt
and being really like pushing the drugs or taking the bribes and all that stuff.
So that and there's a good documentary on Netflix of true story of an officer that actually. He talks about all the corruption stuff he did. And it's kind of the same story that you're talking about is he joined up. Man, these Topo Chicos make me burp like crazy.
Man, this
is
is
so
like
good, though.
liquid heaven, man. Liquid heaven, man. You know how I've been looking like at this company for years, and they are a private company. You can't buy stock in them.
I thought they were owned by Coca-Cola.
No.
Really?
Topo Chico is not. Nope.
I didn't know that. I love them, though.
It's a private company. I would have bought stock in them years ago.
Yeah, the Northerners don't know. They don't know.
Yes, it is. It's definitely a Southern thing, for sure.
But so they will. You get this. And you're right. So the division starts to happen now when the violence starts to go up, or the citizens aren't helping us fight crime because it's a team effort. Okay. Cops cannot do this job alone. We need citizens.
Okay.
And vice versa. So now it's I get in a fight and I'm not people aren't even coming over to help me. And now you're my brother in blue. We got to depend on each other to watch each other's back. So now what do I start doing? I start overlooking the little things, the pissed off cop thing, where I see, you didn't really violate a law, but you definitely violated a policy. And then it just escalates from there.
So it's basically like two factors that kind of just revolve, and it just gets worse, and it just gets worse.
It's a snowball
effect.
Worse.
Yeah, it snowballs. So what happens when the snowball falls down the hill? Like what's the end game in situations like that? I look at it like logically two outcomes could happen. I don't know what those outcomes could be, but I would assume that's where it would go with it. So you want to expand on that?
It's one of the it's one of the magical questions. Like, how do you fix that once that snowball starts going downhill?
I'm not saying how do you fix it.
Yeah,
I'm saying that how long have you been a
17
cop?
years.
17 years.
Yeah.
How many different departments have you worked for?
2 departments now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've had have you seen this happen personally? Have you seen that happen, or you just kind of read about it?
Yeah, so up north, I've seen it.
Okay.
Where it's more of you're talking, there were vehicles, police patrol vehicles for our township that had 500,000 miles on them, some crazy number, and they would not give them the money to get the cars fixed, stuff like that.
So we're talking about the snowball effect, right?
Yeah.
So I was just asking out of curiosity from your experience, what happened when that cycle started happening? What was the result? Or was it still spiraling by the time you got out?
It was still going. You get cops that just won't work. And what I mean is all they will do is they will wait for a call. They will sit in a spot that's isolated, and they will wait for a call to happen. They are not doing anything proactive. They're not going out of their way to go try to actively find bad guys, because if something goes down, something bad, citizens aren't going to have their back. And a matter of fact, it doesn't matter if they were completely in the right. The first initial thought from the citizen side is going to be negative. It's going to be, well, why were you getting second guessed in your job? I don't care what profession you're in. If you're getting second guessed on everything that you do, your passion for doing that ain't going to be there that long. So now we're talking the psychological effect it would have on police. That's one of the reasons I left Michigan. I left Michigan because there was a whole department, Pontiac, shut down. Just gone.
Wow.
I saw the right. And
that was like a funding.
That's a funding issue, which all stems from this type of this snowball. They're just rolling downhill, getting bigger, 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 and
so basically the you've got attention that's caused by an action and another action, another action, another action. Somewhere down the line, the community doesn't trust the cops.
Yeah,
and you're saying the cops are feeling like, okay, now no matter what I do, I'm gonna have to account for myself more than I should have to account for myself on like what would be legitimately reasonable.
Yeah.
Right. So, and this is all an assumption. I'm just trying to follow your narrative.
Yeah.
So, the funds for police are made by the city mayor or the controller, whatever.
City manager.
City manager.
It's a political.
It's a political thing.
Yeah.
So when the community overwhelmingly mistrusts the police, the city manager, for political reasons, has to do what they want to do. Theoretically,
right.
You know what I'm saying? This is all in theory. This is not. I'm just saying. I want to just.
Yeah.
I want to follow the. I'm trying to follow the trail. So the fun and I'm doing it from a money standpoint because I think about.
So
money.
let me slow you down real quick. It starts small, and this is one of the small things that happens. Training.
Okay.
So officers need training. Well, guess what gets cut? Hey, this officer wants to go to this training. Let's say it's a use of force training or whatever. He wants to go to this training. No, we're not going to let you do that. We're going to use that money elsewhere. So it's a little thing. It's nothing big, but that is where the snowflakes keep adding up. And okay, so he missed out on that training. And another officer missed out on some sort of detective training that he was going to go to, investigative work. And now our officers are only getting the bare minimum of training.
Okay.
And you compare that to other places, and this compounds over years, right? So you've got a lack of training for seasoned officers who were trying to get the training, and you got these new officers coming up that they're not getting any of the training. And you start breeding in the police department. It sounds harsh, but ignorant cops, and all I mean is lack of knowledge. They don't have all the training that the department used to have at one time. And that's just one factor. Now, I'm specifically talking about Michigan. And one of the big things that happened with Michigan is all the plants shut down. Those that could afford to leave and got new jobs elsewhere did. The ones that didn't were left back in a black hole.
Yeah, I got family up there. And so I seen my uncle, make six figures or close to it for 30 years, and then overnight I'm just barely trying to get half that.
Right. And now like I said, it's just a void, and people are trying to make money however they can. And that spiked crime a lot. But you don't even have the economics from taxes to support the police that you needed before that. Now everybody's gone, and you still have that same size police department. Now they got to start firing and cutting people. So it's just, I wish it was as simple as just, this and that and this and that, but it's so complicated.
How do you feel about the, a question that comes to mind when you start talking about training is what are your feelings about, like, do you one, I'll make this in two parts. One, what is training? Like what are you talking about? Like you're saying these cops we're breeding ignorant cops.
Yeah.
And so you're implying that like the training is gonna fill in that gap, right?
Right.
So what is it that training is, or that they're gonna get from training, had they be better funded? I'm sorry.
There you go.
And two, and just looking at training as a whole, and I think, you know what? I'm not even gonna do that because that kind of leads into like some of my own assumptions. So, what do you feel that gap is? What do you feel that gap? Like, okay, if ignorant officers are being bred for something that they're lacking, what is it? Okay. What is it that they're lacking? What is it? What is that training? What is that thing?
You're gonna give me going now.
What is that thing that they're missing out on?
Okay, so here's a big difference. My training program in Michigan was 8 weeks. My training program in Texas was 8 months.
Okay.
Okay, so that's one. Now we're just talking just the length of time. Okay.
Time is a component,
right? So instead of having the and basically what they did, the reason they did that was because I was a military cop, so I was a military police officer. But anybody that's done city police work and military police work will give you an honest opinion that, yes, it's good training in the military, but it doesn't prepare you fully or enough to go out and be a city cop.
You're policing two different situations.
Right. And
it makes sense.
Yeah. And, like I said, the training's good. You're getting some proper training, but your real world experience is so lacking.
Yeah.
And then
military's not the real world.
So they gave me an 8-week program for their police academy, and that wasn't nearly enough. I'll tell you right now.
Are you talking about the military or
No.
Or your first police?
My first police department in Michigan.
In Michigan.
So,
gotcha.
And it wasn't just my department. All these other departments are a very low police academy, 3 months, maybe 4 months. And
so are you saying when you came down here, it was like an 8-month police academy?
Yes. So down here, the length of training, especially in metropolitan areas where you need
money's good.
Yeah, money's good.
Money's good.
And the training
Dallas is doing it, man.
Yeah, the training needs to be higher.
Message to all the Michigan guys, man. We got money in Texas.
Well, let me tell you some of the things that they do now. And this is why I'm saying it's still declining. It isn't going back up yet. I have family members that are cops up there, and they can't even get hired as a full-time police officer at one department. They have to work part-time at 2 different departments, because the departments don't want to pay benefits to a full-time employee. Right?
That's crazy. That's I don't even think that makes a lot of sense.
Right. And then most of the time, like for me, when I came down here, the police department I work for, they have their own academy and they pay you as a employee to go to their academy. And I think that's the proper way to do it. But when you do it up there, you pay for yourself. What if I were to tell you, you're going to be a finance guy, hey, Enron, I just made this company because it's the only one I could think of. Enron's going to hire you. But if you want to work for Enron, you got to put yourself through this training program. You got to pay. Sounds
like the teaching industry.
Yeah. So that smells good. Whatever that is, that actually smells good. So that's how it is up there. You have to pay for yourself. Most places, not all, but the majority of places, you got to pay for yourself to go be a cop.
It's Gushers, by the way.
Gushers? Is that what it's called?
Gushers.
Okay.
That's the flavor.
Okay, Gushers candy. Oh, dude, now you're bringing back the 90s, bro.
I'm an 80s baby, man.
I love it.
I was thriving in the 90s.
That's right. They had that like metal open package. Yeah. It was, that was good stuff. The blue. I love the blue ones, man.
Somebody told me, like, I asked him what this flavor was going to be like. He's like, if you just got a whole pack of Gushers and put it in the ball and put the whole thing in your mouth, I was like, I would never do that.
Yeah, that's a waste.
Why would you do it? Especially when you grew up like us. Like, we're trying to eat the thing slow so they last longer.
Yeah. Well, that was the beauty of the wrapper too. You could roll it up and it would stay sealed. Yeah.
So let me get this straight. So the first thing that you've kind of like brought to light was time. That's one thing.
Yeah.
So I think the next logical thing is what is happening in the extra time or the
after
resources.
You get out of the academy?
Well, no, like, okay, so like if you're saying that, a less fundedly a department that is not well funded cannot afford training as well as a department that is well funded. And I'm asking the question of, like, what do you get with that extra training? So far, what I've seen you point out is you get more time.
Yes. And what does that time equal?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's more that's if I'm not being clear, that's kind of what I was really trying to get to the meat of.
So what's the difference between an 8-week trained officer and an 8-month trained officer?
Well, not necessarily what's the difference. What is happening in more training? What are you going to get? What are you going to be trained in? Mm-hmm. What about this extra training, other than time, that is going to prepare you to be the virtuous officer?
Okay, so I'll use the two big ones that everybody likes to talk about: use of force, okay, and the law. All right. So you understand martial arts. You ever taken any martial arts?
Yeah, man. Judo, Japanese kickboxing, karate, boxing. Man, the streets.
Right.
Lots of the streets.
That's what I'm talking about.
Lots of the streets, man.
Okay, so what if I were to tell you, hey, I need you to be at a black belt level in judo in 4 weeks? What if you
That's it. That's all you get.
In 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we're going to do that the first 4 weeks of the academy, but we're only going to do it an hour a day.
Okay.
So you get an hour a day for 4 weeks. You're not even there on the weekends. So we're talking 5 days a week for an hour. 5 hours a week. So that's 5, 10, 15. That's 20 hours total.
I think I get what you're saying. Is it doesn't make very much logistical sense.
Right.
I get that. 100%. You don't have to nail that one in anymore. Because I understand what you're saying. I'm saying, like, if we're going to go through we're going to talk about it like in karate terms, right? So you're a black belt instructor. It means you've been a black belt. And I'm assuming with 17 years experience on the force that, I mean, you might not be a 4/black belt, but you're at least black belt 1. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now it's your job to train other black belts.
Right.
Right? Or train a yellow belt to turn to a green belt, whatever.
Right.
Right? So I think what I'm saying is not like, how does it not make logistical sense? I'm saying your knowledge as a black belt means that the things that I need to teach to this brown belt. I know the knowledge that I need to give them so they can rise up and be a black belt. I'm saying, what is that? Like, you would know that. The green belt don't know that. The brown belt don't know that. The cop that only got a couple of hours, to learn that you said, hey, you got to be a black belt in 4 days. He don't know that, in business. I was talking to somebody the other day. I was like, in business, the most expensive lesson is you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm saying and this is an assumption that you do have the knowledge or that you have some kind of inclination of what it could be. You're that instructor. I'm not asking the logistical challenges. I'm saying, what is that nugget? Like, what is that thing that if they had all this time to get it, that would make them what are the lessons? What are I did hear you say use of force is one thing. So I want to acknowledge that I'm not saying that you didn't answer the question at all, but I think I feel you leaning towards more logistical things versus like